Welcome back to Terror by the Bay. I'm David. All right. Um, Michelle and I went to the Hands Off protest in San Francisco yesterday at the San Francisco Civic Center, right in front of City Hall. And a couple of our friends showed up. A whole lot. I posted up some pictures. I grabbed an overhead drone shot off of Google, which is why you'll have seen that picture of City Hall before with other, like Midas Touch had that same picture, as well as some pictures that I took while walking around. Um, Blue Sky, I think I uploaded some video of me, some of the footage of just walking around, just sort of showing the camera around. Lots of people out there, lots of signs, some clever ones, some vulgar ones, a lot of vulgar ones. Um, but it was good to get out. It was a beautiful day in San Francisco. I realized for some of the hands-off protests, it was rainy or cold or the weather was not conducive, but it absolutely was conducive in the city. Michelle and I had driven to Berkeley or North Oakland and parked at the Rockridge BART station there. Grabbed some food, and the place that we went to already had protesters with their signs there, uh, getting their coffee or getting their food before heading over to the city. Hopped on BART, and when we hit, like, I think it was the 12th Street exit, a bunch of protesters got off. And it's realizing, well, of course, they're going to be protesting in Oakland, too. Um, but we ended up heading over to the city to join that protest. Glad to get out there. It was worth it. Yeah, just to be in that energy where people are outraged and feeling like making their voices heard. Speaking of making things heard, the cats are wrestling around over here. Yeah, Michelle riled them all up. What are you doing? She's about to get him. Oh, she's going to get him good. You got about 3 seconds before being got. 2, 1. Here. I will just come down here and you can watch the WWE over on the corner over there. It's nice to get out and get your and be heard, because sometimes you just don't agree with your counterpart, and just sitting there taking a swat to the head's not enough. Sometimes you have to let them know that they crossed a line, and that line they crossed is going to meet with resistance. Or you just roll out of the way. Oh, cats. Anyways, good to get out there. It was great to see it was all across the country. That at least a million, if not a few million people got out and had their voices heard. I'm hoping that the groups that organize the hands off follow up with another one like in May. Or, within, I don't know, I would imagine it takes a little bit of time to organize these things and get the message out. But I think you need to have consistent protests out there to keep the momentum going. After we went to, now he attacked her. After we went to the Civic Center, we took a walk up to the Tesla dealership over on Van Ness Avenue, I believe it was. And there were a couple dozen protesters out there. As we hung out there for about 15-20 minutes. I think it's probably rather... Jeez! I think it was rather sedate there because most of the protesters were down in Civic Center. What was interesting, though, was as we were walking away, we heard this loud cheer and applause from the corner where we had just left in front of the Tesla dealership. And we turned back to see what caused them to cheer and applaud so much. And it was a tow truck with a Tesla on the back, towing it to the back shop behind the Tesla dealership. A broken down Tesla caused a lot of happiness and joy. That's not exactly the energy that you want, but when you've been gaslit, lied to, abused like that, you want to see some comeuppance. You want to see a consequence for that ill behavior. And it could be that a lot of the consequences for this ill behavior we never get to see in this lifetime. And that's frustrating. I'm sure from a spiritual point of view, it makes perfect sense. It doesn't matter if it happens there, here, or there. It's going to happen. That's what you should just be happy about. But when you're on this plane, in this world, earthly experience, in this material world, yeah, comeuppance is a thing. You know, more comeuppance maybe leads to less bad behavior. And the problem is, it doesn't change much. It leads to less overt bad behavior. It doesn't necessarily change the behavior. And right now, what we've got is the great exposure of the bad behavior with seemingly few direct consequences. Although crashing the economy and with these tariffs and stuff like that seems to have some consequences. Oh, and I saw a clip from Rachel Maddow. Some folks pointed out in the comments. Peter Navarro, Donald Trump have been quoting this guy Ron Vera, who's supposed to be this genius on tariffs and how tariffs are great and everything. And she's going on for this little bit. And I'm looking at the name Ron Vera, and it's like, I wonder if you've moved the letters around what you've got there. Because I didn't look to see the word an anagram on there. Yeah, it spells Navarro. So much like Donald Trump has John Barron and David Dennison, and Elon Musk has his pseudonyms, apparently Peter Navarro has Ron Vera. And they make up these people to say that, oh, Peter Navarro's a genius, or Donald Trump's a genius, or Elon Musk is the greatest parent ever. I can't even. Petty, shallow, how old are you again? Type of things. Whatever. But I want to read on the energy. The cats are gone. Let me pause for a second here. Cute as they are, they can be a little bit distracting. I want to read on the energy of the protests yesterday from a spiritual point of view. We're going to read on that energy and the impact they have on the collective. I do think that those protests are necessary to enact change, to get the change started, get that ball rolling. Is to basically let folks know we're done and we want something done about this. And that's why I'm hoping there'll be more protests going forward, because I think just this one alone, it sends a message, but it can be dismissed, which is why you have to have more of them, and they have to be sustained, and they have to be building in volume. Okay? So come on down. Let's take a look. Energy around the protests yesterday. Foundation of the reading that we're going to start off with is the High Priestess. That divine feminine knowledge, the wisdom, the understanding that goes with this, and temperance. In my little rant that I had the other day, I seem to recall saying something like I'm the most impatient patient person, or the most patient impatient person, which actually does describe me pretty well to a T. I can be very patient with something until I run out. And it's not like a lowering down. It's a straight line, then straight drop. Kind of like the stock exchange. When it's very binary. This coming back down it's time, if you want to call it the Age of Aquarius, but it's time for the truth to be coming out. We've been dealing with it. We've been patient with it, but it's the dawning of a new day, and we're tired of it. Underneath it all is the Two of Wands, that energy going forward. You've gotten past the Ace of Wands, the good idea. This is now the reviewing things. What's next? That's kind of the underlying energy. I'm kind of curious. This is setting the table, basically. I'm curious what's going to be the overarching energy. In the past, the Ace of Cups. We've been stressed out. Our cup is full and runneth over. And it's basically, I think, saying that when your cup is running it over, it's okay to add some to a different cup, so that your cup's not running over. This is like the protest, letting some of that emotion come out. Giving that negative energy out of your system and into another cup, somebody else's cup, the Earth's cup, somebody else who can deal with it. This was an empty cup. Maybe the Republicans are finally going to get to have some of our frustrations come through. Current situation, victory. It was what we did yesterday was successful. It got a lot of attention. It couldn't be ignored. As much as right-wing media will try and ignore it, downplay it, whatnot, it got attention, worldwide attention, no less. Overarching energy, I was telling you, I wanted to see what was going to come up here. This is, saying this is kind of taking the next steps. The Eight of Swords is an interesting card. You can be a victim, but nothing is holding this person hostage. There's nothing, they're not tied to anything. They can untie themselves, take the blindfold off, and leave. The message is, we're not going to be victims. We're not going to be your victims. We can choose to be the victims, or we can choose to stand up and vocalize our displeasure. The lesson to be learned is the Page of Cups, if you want to know who the victims really are. the MAGA folks, it's wild. MAGA apparently, listening to Hawk on TikTok, MAGA's thing is, George Soros paid all those people. We were all crisis actors paid by George Soros. I mean, doesn't it get tiresome to always blame George Soros for something? You'd think some MAGA chud would want to, ship George Soros off to a detention area somewhere so he could stop paying for these crisis actors and all these horrible things that apparently he does. He literally is the boogeyman personified to them. And if George Soros were to go away, they'd run out of excuses, which is why they don't do anything. It's convenient to blame George Soros for everything. But this is going to also send a message to MAGA. Outcome is the Three of Cups. Successful. It was definitely successful. Raise your cups high. And it's almost like raising the vibration high, having your emotions heard. I do think they need to follow up. This is a good start. This is what gets the ball rolling. The snowball starts rolling with this. And the message it sends is that the people are dissatisfied with the government and the direction they're taking. We're not sitting back and being passive about it. It's tapping into that anger, tapping into that energy, and having it be expressed. Many signs saying silence equals complicity type of thing out there. And not being silent yesterday. Michelle and I didn't have signs. We weren't out there screaming and yelling. We were walking around, almost crowd watching in a way, but bathing in that energy of protest. And that was really, really helpful. I needed that. Okay, so what's next for hands off in the protests? What's next? I mean, if that's a one-off, that's great. It helps, but I do think there needs to be momentum with it. So what's next? Four-Carter. Judgment. Got to be heard. Make things loud and clear. It's the clarion call and rising and people rising up. Trump obviously will try and downplay it or ignore it. I never saw all those people. Ace of Pentacles. Five of Wands. The Emperor. And the Empress. Some major arcana here and an ace. So good energy here. What's next? Judgment. You got to do more. You got to get people, they're active. They've been activated. Tap into that energy and keep it going. It's tapping it. This is that motherly energy of making sure everybody has enough. It's standing up for the marginalized people as well as everyday people. that there's plenty in this country to have. You know, don't succumb to those with the money. Don't succumb to those who would be a dictator. I do wonder if there will be another one coming up as the budgets come close to being passed or being debated. You got to point out who the money is, the oligarchs. You got to point out who's violating our rights. Got to take care of people. No, and maybe that's just the messaging also that I think that is messaging. You know, Trump's not acting like a leader, he's acting like a king. Big money is supporting Trump on this one, and you need to push back on that. Where do you hurt him? You hurt him with their money, because that's what they care about. Leaving cards on the table here. Just a four-carder from Spirit. What was the result of this protest? Give me some more information on the protest, how it affected the collective. Just another little four-carder here. Judgment card. People heard. High Priestess, which was the signifier card. People heard. You've got that wisdom. Truth being exposed. Look at all these major arcana here. Integrity versus delusions. Movement. Okay, people heard it. So I was saying you need to have more. This starts a movement. This isn't out of control. This is the snowball going down the hill, slowly grinding forward. People answering the call. The truth has been exposed. We're asking the questions that we need to ask to get the answers. And it's really saying, you know, what type of America do you want to live in? You have to take the good with the bad with this. You have to have integrity. When you take America, you have to take America as the entire country. You can't just look at the good parts and ignore the bad parts. And then you have to decide if this is what you want. Now, when you take the good parts and the bad parts, that doesn't mean you can't fix the bad parts. You may not be able to eliminate them, but you can reduce them. You can minimize them and accentuate the good parts with it. Did it make a difference? Yes, it made a difference. This is the start of a movement. And I really do hope that the organizers of this are encouraged by the results that came out of this yesterday. And now just last one, Spirit, just a quick little 4-card message to those watching this. What you want them to know from the from the protests yesterday. Okay, well the cards are already popping out here. I don't need to throw any. Here's what they're saying. You know, it's not naive to be kind to other people. To be kind, giving, generous, thoughtful. Matter of fact, it's a strength to do that. Being silent, being controlling emotions is fine, but there's times where you need to let those emotions be expressed. It's a strength to be able to express your emotions, but try and do it in a compassionate way. Not just passionate, but compassionate. There's a time to be silent and let things play out, and there's a time to speak out. And it's your strength. Your voice is your strength. Don't let them try and muzzle you and silence your strength. If anything, by showing compassion in this, you silence those who would seek to silence you. You show mastery over them. Hush, we've got this. Underneath it all is the 5 of Swords. The winner takes all. which is kind of, the opposite message here, is that in this game, there are winners and losers, so to speak. The Democratic Party is, in the left in general, typically wants everyone to succeed. But the problem is they're playing against an opponent that only cares if they succeed and they don't care about anybody else. So this is the undercurrent. You're fighting an opponent that wants to win at all costs and will do anything to win at all costs. All the while, you're trying to be compassionate to make sure that everybody wins. How do you win when this person's at winning at all costs and versus you want everybody to win? You take these two guys and bring them to your camp. Because the win at all cost people, they win at all costs. So if they lose 2/3 of their supporters, they don't care. They've won until the next competition. And then they look around at who's on their side and they have to find an enemy. Because whoever's on their side clearly wants the power and control that belongs to the other person. It's the evil consumes itself theory. And sort of true with Trump and Trumpism. It's going to consume itself. It's one of those things that doesn't unite people, it divides people. And that includes itself. And, right now they try to vilify the left, they try to vilify the Democrats, they try to vilify George Soros. And if they feel like those aren't suitable villains, then they turn on themselves and start dividing themselves up. As we've seen with crushing stock markets and worldwide tariffs that are going to destroy farms and farmers and things like that. Leopards and faces. I'll leave it there. Thank you very much for watching this video and supporting my channel. I do appreciate it. This reading is for entertainment purposes only, but I hope you found it insightful, and I'll catch you on the next video. Take care.